dugsiga boardingka iyo maalinlaha ah ee Amaano. Amaano Boarding and Day School.
Grade 7, welcome to our social studies lesson. It is actually a revision lesson about resources and economic activities. And under resources, we shall be looking at, under resources and economic activities rather, we shall be looking at transport and communication. So we shall be looking at here, transport and communication. And before we look at any other thing, we shall be looking at the meaning of transportation. What is it, right? So what is transportation? In your own words, already like the previous lesson we had looked at, it is the carrying of people and goods from one place to another. And in exact words, here we say that transportation is the carrying of people and goods from one place to another. People and goods. So the key word here is the carrying of people and goods from one place to another. Now, what about communication? Well, if you can remember, we said the communication is the exchange of information from one person to another. And just in exact words of what communication is, it is the exchange of information or message between two or more people. In class situation, you are talking to a friend, you want some information about a lesson, you have to come to the teacher and ask. So that exchange of information, talking to your friend, to a desk mate, that is communication. You are passing information, you are passing a message. So that exchange information between you and your friend is what we call communication. Now, going ahead, we shall look at the traditional types or modes of transportation in Africa. Now, in Africa generally, when you look at the traditional means the ancient or those that are outdated, out of fashion, those that are no longer valued by the modern society. We talked about how people used to carry things and even themselves from one place to another. So traditionally, people used the following ways to transport goods, things, and themselves from one place to another. Now, if you can remember, about 4 ways through which people used to transport things and animals and themselves from one place to another. Remember, here they are camels, donkeys, horses, oxen, and finally some people carried the goods on their own backs and even heads. So here the 5 major ways through which people used to carry things traditionally are donkeys, camels, horses, oxen, and carrying on their backs. So next time you are asked in maybe if a question is posed to you, to try and state traditional forms of communication in Africa, then you will have to state the following: that people used to carry goods using camels, horses, donkeys, oxen, and carrying on their backs. And I think out of all these, some of you still might be having or maybe having a problem with oxen. I think this is where some of you will try to ask what is oxen, because you have seen all these others. You've carried your bag, your books, something, anything at home on your back or maybe on your head. You know what a horse is. You've come across donkeys everywhere here in Arkansas, camels also. So I'll have an image of oxen. So here, well, you can see for yourselves that oxen are here. Rather, these are male cows that are used for transportation. They are used to carry, they pull an oxen pulled cart. This cart here normally has got some goods on top of it. So basically what you're saying is that oxen, the plural of ox, are animals, you know, male cows that are used to transport things, that are used for like beasts of burden. They are used to carry heavy things, to carry heavy loads, to pull some goods. It is a traditional form of communication. Wow. Okay. Another one is here. Which form of traditional transportation is this? How people used to carry things or to carry goods on their backs. Others used to carry on their heads. So it is a traditional form of transportation. People no longer like it, especially for the heavy goods. But for the light goods, those that are not heavy, people may decide to carry on their backs. So it is a traditional form of transportation. Now class, you've seen how oxen are used to carry and pull the cart that's having goods, and you've also seen how people used to carry goods on their backs. Those are traditional forms of transportation. What about the modern forms of transportation? Well, modern forms of transportation include the following. We have land transportation or land transport. Land transport includes roads and railway. Remember, on roads we have these cars, lorries and buses, among other automotives, among other vehicles that use the road. While railway, there's a train that uses the railway. But the question we were asking last time, we're asking ourselves, is there a train, is there a railway transportation in Somaliland? And our answer was no. Good. Number two, we have water transport. And under water transport, we have all those vessels that sail on water. These vessels include, but not limited to, you see, the boats. Where do they sail? They sail on rivers, lakes, oceans, and seas. So all these are actually the forms of water transport. And those vessels that sail on them include the boats and ships and ferries. Good. So here, like we've discussed earlier on, that we have the ferry, ship, and boats. All of them sail on water. They are the different vessels that use water for transportation. Number three, we have air transport. Now, under air transport, we have, under air transport, already as you can see, it is the quickest means of transport. And especially in Africa, we say that air transport is the quickest means of transportation. Now, what vessels use air for transportation? We saw them. That air transport includes the following vessels. Those vessels are important to try and master them. Put them in your mind, and I think you must be knowing them. The aeroplanes, they use air, right? They don't move on roads, they don't move on land, only apart from when they are landing. So air transport includes the following, and a picture is here for actually not air transport but water transport. This one here is water transport. So among all those forms of modern transportation that we looked at water transportation, we looked at land transportation and air transportation. So out of all those, the pictures that are actually coming here on our screen are based on the modern forms of transportation. So which modern form of transportation is this? Water transportation. And which vessel is this? This is a ship. So this one here is a ship. This is a ship. It's a vessel that is carrying goods and people, but on water. So it is a vessel that sails on water. Then we also have a boat. This one here is a boat. Now a boat also sails on water. It is a modern form of transportation. All these modern forms of transportation in Africa, these are things that are dated about 100 years ago. They are modern forms of transportation. So all of them are modern forms of transportation that are randomly appearing here. Well, again, look at other vessels that are coming here, well, are they forms of water transport, air or road, land? Well, you can see one is jet and helicopter. These are now vessels, or actually these are things that transport people and goods in the air. And a jet, as you can see, is here. Some of them are used by the military. Then you also have a helicopter. Helicopter is here. So all these are the modern forms of air transportation. It is the quickest, especially in Africa, like we said. Then they're here. Facts about land transport in Africa. What are some of the basic facts that you understand about transportation in Africa? 1. Africa has about 1.4 million kilometers of road. Then 2 is some parts of Africa cannot be accessed by roads until today, because some of them are forests, deserts, and on top of mountains. We do not have sufficient roads. We do not have roads in there that can be used for transportation. Other facts about Africa and transportation in Africa is that there are very few roads in the deserts, like we said, in rainforests and the highest plateau and mountain peaks. Very few roads. That is a fact. In deserts, we do not have very many roads. On top of mountains or on mountain peaks, we do not have roads that can be used by vehicles. No. Road transport is the most improved mode of transportation in Africa. Railway transport is not most improved in Africa. Air transport is not most improved. And last one is that for every 2 kilometers, there are about 5 kilometers of roads. Okay? Now, look here. We say this, that today in our lesson, we have looked at transport and communication. We've looked at the definition of transportation, definition of communication. We have looked at all those forms of transport, and traditional and modern. So I would like you to try and revise, read again, and as you do that, prepare for the assignment that we shall be posting in the coming week. Thank you for watching. Have a nice time.